Hi, everyone. It is David Ault, and I'm so glad and appreciative that you are here. Welcome to the gathering, wherever you are, wherever it is that you are listening or watching this. I hope that you will take a moment, a conscious moment, take a deep breath, and say to yourself, the universe has my back. The universe has my back. All that really is a redirection of our mind into considering that everything is energy. We are energy. The universe is energy. And there's a collaboration within energy. Like attracts like. And as I play with my own mental energy around the idea of being supported, when I play with the idea of being willing to lean into something beyond my human comprehension, my human interpretation of things, and I sort of surrender my efforting and my fears to that energy, but I do so with a heart that says, "May I experience that support." Then something in alignment with that support will show up. And it's just a matter of what we focus on just expands. And so I know that we are in times that demand our focus. And I know that in the demandment of that focusing that we bring our interpretations to it. And if our interpretations are steeped in a history of worst case scenario or a default to disappointment, rejection, abandonment, then we simply continue to get more of that. None of it's wrong. This isn't about beating ourselves up about here we are again, but it's understanding that when we are where we are, whether it feels repetitive or not, is always cause for a renewal of interpretation, a renewal in the commitment that everything is energy. And so interpretation is kind of what I want to talk to you today. And I had this incredible memory about music and the interpretation of music. When I was a kid, the Carpenters were really popular. And there was a song they used to play on the radio constantly, and it was, "Don't you remember you told me you love me, baby?" And if you remember Karen Carpenter, she could sing and drum at the same time, which is no small feat. And I remember seeing them on television specials. So the name of the song is called Superstar. And so she would bop her head while she would sing, "Don't you remember you told me you love me, baby? You said you'd be coming back this way again, baby." And so my interpretation of that song was this sort of bopping the head kind of melodic tune. And then, I happened to run across a previous recording of that song that was done by Bette Midler off of her very first album, the album that sort of quantum leaped her into notoriety. And I came across it because I actually came across a video of her singing this song, Superstar, from a television special that she did. And it was a single framed focus camera of her sitting in sort of this darkened alleyway, despondent, with this one little pin light on her face with just the most sorrowful expression. And she's singing, "Don't you remember you told me you love me, baby? You said you'd be coming back this way again, baby. You called me baby, 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 oh baby. I love you. I really do." And all of the sudden, I'm like, oh my God, this song is about abandonment, about unrequited love, about opening one's heart and giving themselves into a traveling musician who said to her that he loved her, and she pinned her whole life around that moment and came to realize that he was a traveling superstar and probably said that to everybody. And she's crushed. Interpretation. And I remember in that moment going, oh my God, the general idea around the music. When the songwriter wrote the song, they were writing about this torturous thing and this deep thing, this impactful thing, and yet any musician can come along and sing it however they want to sing it. They could put a beat to it. Where I'm going with this is that there are many examples within the field of music where that has happened. There are many times when music, even from the black experience, has been homogenized by the white industrial complex. And you begin to see that if our first exposure to something, the first exposure to something leads to our interpretation of that something. Where am I going with this? Well, I find that the same thing happens in spirituality, in religion. The first time that we hear are exposed to any kind of dogmatic belief or spiritual principle, it's depending upon where it's coming from, the source that it's coming from, the speaker, the lens, the interpretive lens of the person who is delivering the message, or the state of being that we are in when we read the thing or hear the thing. It's all bundled up in this idea of interpretation. And so you see, the point is not that the interpretation is wrong. The point is that every stop along the way, every moment, we are invited to, required to turn and to look at our own interpretations of everything. That song blew me away when I saw that performance, and it was like I was hearing the song for the first time. I was watching an artist depict what I knew in that moment, knew in my own heart, was what the songwriter meant when they wrote the song. So overlay that to what we will call spiritual truth. You know, when we hear things and we reflect upon the person delivering or the author of the thing, we can realize when we become a little bit more conscious that what we are experiencing is the interpretation of something. I had a mentor one time say to me that one of the greatest ills of humanity is the translator. Meaning that he wasn't pinpointing one specific person. He was saying that everything is a form of being lost in translation. That whatever purity is, we don't realize. He even went on to say that that's what history does. We live in revisionist history. We watch now the movement of people who want to block the purity of history, the truth of history, because it doesn't fit their agenda, their economics, their religion, their belief system, their source of power. It's a fascinating thing when we will sit with our own responsibility and go, nearly all of my beliefs are woven into interpretation. So what do we do about that? How do we go upon our own personal quest of trying to get to the heart or the purity of a message or let's just say of a truth. I was reminded of I lost my place here. There's a great person that I absolutely love who exemplifies this. His name is Bishop Shelby Spong. So if you don't know who Bishop Shelby Spong is, he was an Episcopal bishop who wrote a lot about how Christianity has been interpreted and taught throughout the years. And as an ecclesiastical person, as a bishop, he was derided and challenged and threatened by this uncharacteristic questioning of something that has always been. It's like looking at something that is considered sacrosanct and going, yeah, but is it true? And he said that true religion is not about possessing the truth. No religion does that. It is rather an invitation into a journey that leads one towards the mystery of God. Now, we could be talking about anything here. It doesn't have to be religion. True religion is not about possessing the truth. True art is not about possessing the truth. True creativity is not about possessing the truth. You see, because there's no way to isolate that, because truth is boundless. Truth is mystery. Truth has no finish line or summation of X, Y, Z, or some kind of, declarative formula. It's all mystery, and that mystery is an invitation for you and I to dive into that, to begin to uncover what truth means for us personally. So as a teacher, as a student, obviously, yes, we can only speak from what we know, but we must always clarify that what we are teaching or what we are experiencing is interpretation. And that's why I often love to say to people, listen to me, thank you for listening to me, but take what works for you and discard the rest. But notice that in whatever it is that you're wanting to discard, is that done because it's threatening your historics of interpretation? You see? And so it becomes a very, really deliciously rigorous self-examination of our belief system. True religion is not about possessing the truth. No religion does that. It is rather an invitation into a journey that leads one towards the mystery of God. And so in this awareness and this examination that we're all walking around with bundles of interpretation, what do we want to do with that? I think first and foremost, we can examine what interpretations keep luring us back to separation. What interpretations keep luring us back to a divisional us and them? Not enough, so I have to hoard before somebody else gets it. Blame. Interpretations that very insidiously try to convince us that we are an exclusive, supreme, select group of people who know better than everybody else. That's interpretation. It's quite scary to me personally when I see how this exclusionary, special, I know more than you mindset, this interpretive mindset, continues to elevate even in spiritual circles. And I notice how that mindset has created what feels as though it is an unprecedented division, that 50-50 split that seems so predominant now in our world. And the question becomes, what do we do about that? And I believe that there's nothing that I can do about that other than examine my own participation in that, my own regurgitation of any of that division, my own continued enthusiasm around questioning my interpretations. That's really kind of a long-winded, fancy way of talking about having beginner's mind. When did I stop having beginner's mind? When did I make these statements that what I know is the definitive thing? There is no such thing. Bishop Shelby Spong said, it leads one into the mystery of God. No one has carte blanche on what truth is. There is no one way up the mountain. If the mountain is a metaphor for ascending to a greater awareness of what God is, an embodiment of God, there is no one way up the mountain. There are many paths. It also reminds me, too, about some of our elitist behavior that we can fall into. I've been around long enough. I remember when The Secret came onto the horizon, The Secret being that movie and the accompanying book. And it was all about law of attraction and how you and I can get more. And there are many people in present day, it's been out, over 20 years? I'm not sure. But there are many people in present day who now talk about such things with great disdain, as if, oh my God, I can't believe that that was so popular. And so there's a sort of mocking. When I recall at the time that there was a gratitude for that book and that movie because it was the beginning portal of people considering sort of a mind science approach to life. It was a beginning portal of them re-examining their life and going, wait a minute, maybe there is something to this thing called thought. Maybe there is something to this idea that the quality of my thoughts do affect my life. I'm not saying that the Secret is the end all be all. It certainly isn't. But I don't want to be so exclusionary and lofty in condemning it now, because I realize that many of the people that came into my own centers where I was privileged to teach came because of that. I don't want to make speakers like Oprah or any of those people wrong who showcased all of that, because again, it was a pathway for people to begin to consider and look at those types of things. And so it's actually my responsibility to move beyond that and to move others beyond that if they're willing. To say, this is a stop along the way, but let's take it deeper. This is an opportunity for you and I to open the box to begin to understand that we are not unconscious beings. So interpretation. So I would like for you to begin to think about, what is the purity? Remember the purity of the song, the songwriter writing the song Superstar? What is the purity around the seminal principle that it's all one? So when you think about it's all one, it's all God, love is the only power. Saying the same thing. Everything is God. We live in a perfect patterning. The cosmology of the universe and all of existence is one organism, all saying the same thing. What is the purity of that? Just like what was the purity of the song Superstar? What was the songwriter trying to convey? What is the purity around that? Now look at all of the bebop fancy ways in which it's been taught, all of the songs, we are one, all of that kind of stuff. But now go back to, what does that mean? Here are all these kind of subset interpretations of that. But what is that which is the aligned depth of meaning? And to me, it continues to go back to the example in the Bhagavad Gita when Arjuna asked Krishna. He's basically saying, I want to see what you see. I want to know what you know. I want to see the world through the lens of God. And it's almost like Krishna saying, I don't know. You and I can't handle that, because our interpretations will get in the way of that. But when he has shown that in that flash, all of the horrors and the beauty and the noise and the culmination of lifetimes of all of the symbiosis that's happening, we can't comprehend that because our interpretations are so heavily layered. So we look at that and it's blinding and it's too much and we can't comprehend it. But I want to go there. I want to continue to move into the mystery where I can look at something that is seemingly separate, not mock it, not make it wrong, not be elitist, not be exclusionary and think that I am so spiritually advanced above that, but to look at it and then to let my interpretations of that thing dissolve by saying, may I see the purity of God in this person, in this event, in this moment. That to me, my interpretation, is the greatest gift before us. May we re-examine our interpretations about everything, about people, about history, about archetypes, about meaning. May we be that fluid that we do not become stagnant and inert in this journey of being human. May we, up until the last breath, be open and available to question our interpretations. May you take whatever it is that I say today with that grain of salt. And may you find value. Thank you. God bless.